Yo, what's up, guys? The Insane Game Freak here. I'm sorry, it's been a while. Fucking a lot of shit happened. All right, I got fucking Mighty Number Nine, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and fucking school and life, and fucking tired of it all. Sorry. All right, let's get into it. But today I'm here to review a movie for you. Pokemon Forever! Ha ha ha! Now, I know I said in the last Pokemon review I was going to do Pokemon the third movie. And I thought about it, and I was like, but the third movie I actually remember pretty vividly. Like, the third movie I've actually watched on numerous occasions. I've gone back to the third movie and the fifth movie, the second movie on occasion, and even the eighth movie. But, like, I've never really gone back and rewatched, like, the fourth movie. So I was like, well, why the fuck not review Pokemon Forever next? It's right there next to 3. Why not? And I kind of now realize why I didn't really remember as much of it as I used to. Because Pokemon Forever is kind of a whatever kind of movie. Like, it's not bad, and it has an interesting plot for a Pokemon film. It's just not... It's kind of like the first 3 films of the Pokemon franchise were all, like, consistently good, but they started getting lower in scale because they couldn't do the whole world-shattering shit, and it was consistently low scale until probably about the 6th film and, like, the 7th film, which were both still low scale, but, like, had earth-shattering consequences, or it could have, and it was like, whatever. But let's go ahead and talk about Pokemon Forever and see how I feel about it as a Pokemon film and as a film in general. So it starts off with we're giving us kind of a well, it's not really a backstory. It's more so the plot being set up, where you see a Celebi being chased by a Pokemon hunter. This hunter is somewhat relevant considering what happens in the future. This hunter is chasing Celebi, and this kid meets this girl who's like, be careful about the voice of this forest. If you hear something strange, stop and stay still. Pretty much, and I'm pretty sure in the Japanese version it's probably called Spirited Away, like it usually is. Because they said, oh, it might grab you and take you somewhere. Well, in Japanese culture, they just call that spiriting away. Which ends up happening anyway, because the hunters, he witnesses Celebi being attacked, goes to protect it, and proceeds to get warped through time. Then we go back to the present and we find that 18 Rocket member, which I don't think we ever get the. Oh, he's like the something mass marauder. I forget. It's like a alliteration. Marauding the. Fuck. It doesn't really matter. The villain doesn't really matter in this film in terms of his name anyway, but he's like something mass marauder. You only hear it once because Team Rocket only says it once, and then you never hear his name again. But essentially, he goes to the guy that was in the flashback from 40 years ago, although he was kind of old then. Well, he wasn't really old, but he was like this. Supposedly, the time period at the beginning of the film and the present time is a gap about 40 years, which makes sense for certain things. But I feel like this old character who ends up showing him the way to get to the forest where he almost caught a Celebi. He's a little too old, it's anime. I'm just questioning it too much, but it is kind of weird. We also found out that this dude has a gimmick. He has what he calls a dark ball, also voiced by Dan Green, so that's a thing too. He has a dark ball that can capture a Pokemon and pretty much make it strong and evil. Which this is not. This might be the first time it's being used in. This might be the first time it's being used, period, but it's not like the first time Pokemon will use this idea again. It may not call it the same thing, but it's essentially the same plot in later iterations of the series. Anyways, so he steals a Tyranitar. It's like, I feel like it's like a reference to Pokemon XD. Actually, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like Pokemon XD, just the way the ball looks and what it does. It feels like Pokemon XD and Coliseum with the whole, shadow Pokemon bullshit. Anyways, catches a docile Tyranitar, makes it evil, and then we finally get a little bit, and then we finally get to Ash in them, and where we get our opening song. This is probably one of the more low-key openings, because literally all that happens is that Ash is in the middle of a battle, Brock and Misty, and actually that kind of gets into the first thing I want to mention. The pitches of these characters' voices seem off, specifically Brock. It's also another thing to note that Brock is the one doing the introduction for this film and is not the narrator going, "Welcome to the world of Pokemon." Like it's fucking Brock doing it with a slight recap of the first episode of the anime, which is interesting. Which kind of makes sense in the reference of the movie when you understand later on. But anyways, you get to your opening. The remix isn't what I would consider great. It's Johto's. I'm trying to think of which Johto film it is. It's not. Oh, it's Born to Be a Winner. It's Born to Be a Winner. Johto, born to be a champion. Born to be a which is essentially just a remix of the first one, but like a proper remix, not that X and Y bullshit where it's literally just a cover. Like this is a legit remix because it has different lyrics. It's a cover of that remix, which the remix isn't that interesting, and the battle that accompanies it isn't interesting. It's such a low key thing because the whole intro sequence is Ash getting into a battle, the battle being kind of dumb and goofy, Ash winning the battle, Ash having been called by Brock's Crobats, like get on the boat, a ridiculous scene in which he has to jump off of the pier to get to the boat, doesn't almost make it. The guy, one of the movie characters ends up helping him, and whatever. This is also one of the few movies that actually shows Oak in it. I say one of the few movies, but technically, up until this point, he's been consistently shown in the movies since the fucking second one. Actually, yeah, since the second one, he's been consistently shown. Actually, no, was he shown in the first one too? I think he was shown in the first one. Yeah, he's been consistently in every film. This is just the first time he's not in there. You don't see him in person. Which is him telling them about the whole interesting forest. We can catch interesting Pokemon. That's the premise of the film. Ash is being like, well, there's this cool place that has Pokemon in it. Let's go. So the whole place takes place in the forest. The whole movie takes place in this forest. It's where you start getting your subtle hints of plot because it's interesting to show Oak in such a low-key manner for no reason other than, hey guys, you should go check this out. And he's like, oh yeah, I met a Suicune once. And he's like, where'd you meet the Suicune? He's like, I met him only one time, and he never gets a chance to explain where he meets him. And then you find out that Oak met the Suicune in the forest that Ash and them are going to anyway. So, oh look, Suicune appearance. Because you know the third movie had Entei, so this film has to have Suicune. Anyways, the shit starts, and Sam and Celebi end up being transported to that very moment when Ash and Misty and Brock are traveling through the forest. This is where we find out that Sam has traveled forward in time for 40 years because the girl that gave him food at the beginning of the film is now an old woman, and her granddaughter, they still live in the same area. Granddaughter, daughter, or granddaughter? Doesn't really fucking matter. But Celebi is tired and very distrusting because A, it was attacked, which was the reason why it fled to the future, and B, it's fled to the future, used a whole bunch of power, so it's tired. And so now it's like, now we gotta go find Celebi. Team Rocket is in this film. Team Rocket kind of does that dumb shit it does in the anime where if there's a more powerful or more intimidating Team Rocket member around, then they kind of just play second fiddle to them, which is exactly what happens in this film with the masked dude. He's introduced and like they're introduced to him, and it's just like, oh, well, shit. I guess we're gonna be playing low key villains this time, which, I don't really care because Team Rocket has officially worn out its welcome for me, like in Gen 6. Gen 6, I'm so tired of them. And I was tired of them in Gen 5 by the end of Gen 5, but oh my god, I'm so tired of Team Rocket. So like every time Team Rocket shows up in a film, I'm just kind of like, whatever. Moving forward, so now that Sam has explained everything to him and he has to go find Celebi, they go with him to find Celebi, and this is where the premise, where the part of the film this film also feels insanely fast-paced considering, because like there's no real like really lull moment in the film. I mean, I'm talking about the film, so it may not be as interesting. But watching the film, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty well paced. This kind of starts the whole trend of Ash and Sam bonding. There's like this friendship that is growing throughout the film, and they give it a decent amount of time to properly build up. You know, through looking for Celebi, healing Celebi, and then just kind of traveling back. Although it does bring up a stupid plot thing that doesn't make sense. They're traveling to this village after they get Celebi, and the whole point of traveling to the village is to heal Celebi. Well, we find out later, like before we even get to the village, Celebi heals itself in this lake. It's like called the Lake of Life, and I'm like, okay, cool, but they're still going to the village. What the fuck are you going to the village for? Like, granted, this never really comes to pass, and we never even see the village because of the masked dude fucking everything up. But I still thought it was just kind of weird that was like, it was a plot hole that didn't really fuck anything up because it didn't last long enough to fuck anything up. But it was kind of dumb. It's like, okay, fine, you saved Celebi. Celebi is healed. What are you going to the village for now? But as I said, it gets cut off so quickly. It's not a huge deal. They also have Misty Springer angle just to show off that Celebi can heal things, which is interesting. Celebi as a Pokemon is fine. It's that cute that doesn't speak in English Pokemon, which is good because in later generations they would get really dick heavy riding on that stupid, all the legendaries that are cute have to talk because fuck Shaman, that's why. I'm serious. Like, you know how Environment Fates, they make jokes about Blame Takumi. When it comes to talking Pokemon in anime and talking Pokemon in the films, it's blame Shaman because fuck Shaman. I fucking hate Shaman. I'm not looking forward to that film if you haven't guessed already. The movie characters don't really serve any other purpose than just kind of being exposition boxes. Like, there's no real story with them, so there's not too much to talk about with them. The masked dude is relatively intimidating considering he first sends out a Scizor and a Sneasel to come like capture them. You get a decent fight sequence with Sam's Charmeleon and Ash's Bayleaf. We also get to see a little bit of the old technology that Sam uses, which is a primitive Pokeball where you have to crank it to open it up, which is an interesting concept. I like the fact that they even took the time to even bring that up. It's like, oh, look, and the fact that he kind of, and there's moments where Ash has to kind of explain to him about some futuristic things. Although I would argue he's kind of taking this whole you're 40 years into the future thing a little bit too well, considering he's only fucking like 10 years old. It's ridiculous. But as I said, it also helps with the bonding. And ironically enough, you kind of get to see that Sam is pretty reckless. Sam is probably a little worse than Ash in this film in terms of recklessness, which is very interesting considering there are scenes in which Ash will be like, chill out. And you're just kind of looking going, Ash, who the fuck are you? Like, that's my mindset because I'm like, Ash, you do the same shit and if not worse. Brock and Misty are pretty much just in the film because they're in the film. This is around the time where they just became really fucking irrelevant. And guess what, folks? It doesn't get any better because in Pokemon Heroes, they aren't even in the damn... They ain't even in half of the fucking scenes. At least they're in scenes here. They're not even in scenes in other fucking movies. Actually, Pokemon Heroes is the last film they're actually in together. Like the original trio, because after that, you get Jirachi, and that's when the crew changes. The Mass Marauder, he's walking around in like this fucking machine tearing up the... He's actually pretty... I'll give him points. He was threatening. He was getting shit done. I mean, he ended up catching Celebi like halfway through the film. And like, we went through this fight sequence where like Ash and him are fighting for the Dark Ball that Celebi's in. And then like, but here's the scene that doesn't make any sense. So the shit crashes. They both fall out, and Ash is like on the ground. They do the perspective shot with the balls in front of Ash, and Ash has it in his hands. And then fucking the dude comes up and steps on his hands while he's holding the ball. Now that's not my problem, but Ash passes out from the fucking pain. Like the scene is such a weird fucking scene. He fucking holds his hand out. He's holding the ball, right? Like he's laying down. He got the ball in his hand. The dude comes up and just starts grinding his fucking foot into his hands. Like, ah, my fingers! And then Ash passes out from the pain, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know anyone who passes out from pain in your hands. Not especially consider all he was doing was stabbing him with his fingers. It wasn't like he was breaking his fingers. So I don't understand why it made him knocked out. We also see a lot of the Pokemon in the forest, how they're supportive, and because I mean they do this whole sequence where Celebi's fucking still like worn out in the beginning. They do the sequence in which these Pokemon seem to like casually lead it to the lake. I don't ever understood the point of that because there's never been any correlation with Celebi and the Pokemon of the forest having this like really good friendship or some level of mutual respect. I guess it's implied through these sequences. It's just a weird sequence. Anyways, Dark Celebi is released. Shit gets fucked up. Jesse gets caught up into the fucking thing it ends up building. And then obviously the Mass Marauder gets power hungry and he's like, fuck Team Rocket. I'm the new boss of Team Rocket. Actually, I'm the boss of the motherfucking world. And just getting on back onto the Tyranitar real quick. Two things. First thing, we do get to see Brock do something. He fucking has his Onyx beat the shit out of a Tyranitar, which is actually pretty entertaining. But we also see a Tyranitar swim, which doesn't make any fucking sense. Tyranitar can't swim. There's a lot of ridiculous shit in this film. So, they're not even... So, now the goal is to save Celebi and get it from out of the Dark Ball's clutches, and you already know how this is going to go. Sam and Ash climb this weird structure it's made, which I remember reading like the VHS back of the box, and it was like, it made a giant Kabutops, and I'm like, I guess you could call it a Kabutops, but I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be. It's like a weird... It looks like Kabutops with like weird add-ons and shit. I don't know what the fuck they were really going for with this damn thing, but fuck it. It ain't my damn creation. And if you think it's all powerful, cool. I don't know why Celebi had to create a structure. But whatever. So, they climb the structure. Fucking save Celebi. The Dark Ball explodes. The fucking structure falls down. The Masked Marauder is defeated, but Celebi does that whole almost dying thing in the end. They do this really kind of sad scene where it almost looks like Ash is in denial about Celebi dying, like he used the balls. Because, I mean, they went through a lot of shit. They got tased like 4 times before it even got caught, and then it ended up using a retarded amount of energy when it was fucking Dark Celebi. And then it had to use a ridiculous amount of energy to break free of Dark Celebi control, and it fucking died. And they do this really dark scene where, like, Ash is trying to feed it cherries, and shit's not happening. And I give it points. I mean, the problem is I'm used to Pokemon shit, so, like, it's a well done. It's kind of like how I feel about the Serena crying scene. It's well done, just I don't have that much emotional investment into it. Because although I say they did give time for Ash and Sam's friendship to blossom, and same thing would technically go for Celebi, and I never hated Celebi. It never really transcended that part that I think it was supposed to, where I was really invested in Celebi. So I didn't really get overly sad about the whole death scene, especially considering in the next few minutes, Celebi's all across time and space come back and heal the fucking thing. Although the Masked Marauder has one last little hurrah where he fucking grabs it, and this is why I gave him points. This nigga was determined. This man did not walk away from getting his shit rocked. Grabbed that thing, tried to fly away. Ash was like, I ain't having none of this shit. Pikachu shocked him, blew up the jetpack, and he got his shit rocked. And that's when Celebi had to say, Celebi was like, all right, look, I'm going to take you back, Sam. They do mention how Sam is kind of homesick about, being in the future and shit. Although they act like Celebi couldn't have just took him back to the past. Like the way they have the conversation about the future makes it sound like they don't know how to get Sam back to the past. Even though it was kind of obvious, you would just use Celebi, so I don't get the fucking point of that. So they say their goodbyes, and that's when you find out at the very end of the film, after the adventure is over, Ash goes and talks to. Oh, right. I guess I should talk about Suicune, shouldn't I? See, I forgot because Suicune doesn't really do anything in the film. He saves them. He saves Sam and Ash from one attack. And then gets caught by Celebi. And so while Ash and Sam are doing this whole, you gotta wake up, Celebi, Suicune's getting tased. And then, oh yeah, he also fixes the Lake of Life, which is what they try to use to heal it again. And what happens? Oh, it doesn't fucking work because Celebi's already dead. It's kind of like Josuke's power from JoJo. It only works if the character isn't dead. So Suicune doesn't really do anything in the fucking film. Like, at all. He saves them, and then he gets tased, and then he fixes a lake that didn't even solve the problem anyway. So it's like, so what? It's like it almost made me go, what the fuck? It was the point of Suicune, because he just randomly shows up and then he just randomly disappears. It's fucking jarring, dude. It's such a waste of a legendary to me. But yeah, the adventure's over, and they go back to talk to Professor Oak, and there's an interesting little hint where Ash is sad about Sam being gone, and Oak is like, what's wrong? He's like, I don't think I'll see my friend again. And then Oak is like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure you and Sammy will be friends forever. And then I think Misty goes, how the fuck does Oak know Sam's name when we never mentioned it? And then that's when you find out that Sam is Oak. Sam is Oak. Sam is young Professor Oak. So technically his full name was probably Sam Oak. Or Sammy Oak, whatever. And that's the plot. That's the plot twist that's kind of interesting. The problem is it doesn't really change anything. Because Pokemon doesn't really have a continuity. Oh. It's an interesting plot twist, but it doesn't add anything to it. Just makes the film more interesting in retrospect, not really interesting as you're watching it. Except that Ash and Oak are very alike, I guess. And that's kind of the film. I guess the only other thing I could talk about is the ending song, the ending rap, the Celebrate song. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's a pun on Celebi. It's a pun on Celebi because like the song goes, I forget how the whole song goes, but it's like, and I know it's the 4Kids song, so I know it's not the Japanese ending, but it's like the find your, what is it, like find your heart and free your mind to celebrate. B-R-A-T-E. Yeah. Celebrate. Because it's telling you to celebrate by using the fucking word Celebi as, you know, Celebrate. It's like celebrate. You can almost hear the word celebrate when you do Celebrate. I like the ending song more than I like the intro song. The only other thing I could talk about is the animation, which is a weird hybrid, which is probably the most interesting thing about the film as a whole. It's a weird mishmash of 2D animation with a lot of fucking CGI. I did not remember this when I was a kid. This film has a fuck ton of CGI in it. It's ridiculous. Suicune's first appearance is in CGI, and then it becomes normal animation the next time you see it, and the entire background is like that, like the trees, CGI, although the smoke that comes from the explosions is animated. It's a weird hybrid, and it, for the most part, works, but it does look kind of jarring when you realize that's what's happening. So it's kind of a half and half thing. You take it or leave it. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Oh. We'll get to just the conversation about the film. Is the film good or not? I think it's mediocre in both ways. I feel like it's not. I used to like this film way more when I was younger than I do now, and I think it's because I gave it a lot of props for its plot twist. And the plot twist is interesting. It's just not interesting as the film is going on. So really, when you talk about Pokemon Forever is a movie that's probably more fun to discuss than it is to actually watch. It's not a bad watch as a movie or a Pokemon film. It's just kind of mediocre. It's just kind of there. Um, because once you know the plot twist, there's nothing else interesting about the film. I mean, obviously the young professor, the idea of a young Professor Oak hanging out with Ash is a cool concept. But I actually think it would have been more interesting if Ash and them knew that was young Oak versus what they did here, which is didn't reveal it to us until after he was gone. Young Oak was gone at the very end of the film. I actually think it would have been more interesting to give me a young Oak with a young Ash, where Ash knows it's a young Oak. I don't know. This is the thought process. Um, so to me, it's just a mediocre film. It's not really bad. It's just not insanely good either. The villain I give props to. Celebi's fine. The movie just doesn't stick out for much, and it sticks. And the only thing it really does stick out for is its plot twist. So it's like, it's not throwaway. I don't think it's throwaway, but it's not. If you're not a Pokemon fan, it's not gonna grab your attention either. It's fast paced. It's like it doesn't do anything offensively bad. So it's like I don't hate it. It's just kind of whatever. But you can leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below because I think my voice is dying. So this has been the Insane Game Freak. That's a game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. Peace. Oh. And vote in the comment section for what you want to see next. Bye.